Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dice on Ice. My name is Megan, and welcome back to another episode of the Curse of Strahd campaign. This is episode 7, which is called A Pretty Girl Waits for a Feast. And ever so kindly, Karen has been voluntold, volunforced, volun blackmailed to do the recap.
Yeah, Volin blackmailed sounds pretty accurate there. So it's going to be very short because I don't remember lots, but we were fighting zombies that came out of a well. And Felitha was absolutely useless in this fight. But we managed to take them all out. And because she was so useless, we decided, that kind of how many times can I say that, right, Jason? We decided that maybe something was up with her. And so afterwards, the Everchild tried to remove, we confronted her and found out that, yes, Thorn was actually Felitha. And so Everchild tried to remove Thorn, was successful. Then Felitha actually flipped out and chased the poor ghost away. Meanwhile, at some point, Oscar actually climbed out of the well himself. I'm not sure what we were all doing when he did that. I can't remember that part. I was too busy, with Felitha and Thorn. Then, this is where it's sketchy. We went and we started going down corridors. And Eli fell into a big hole and cursed his cousin Talmud. And we managed to get him out of that. And then we went back and we rested. And then we carried a bed. Well, Oscar carried the bed. And we mostly got across before the bed broke. I don't know if much happened after that. That's kind of where I go foggy. Oh, yeah. Sorry. We did get across. And we went into this room and there was this beautiful woman, not eating this wonderfully delicious looking food, not. It was maggoty grossness. And I think that's why I blocked it out of my mind. So that's what happened.
Yes, you guys walked into a room and you saw who you recognized to be Elizabeth Durst eating some food and has asked you to join her. So, thank you very much. You don't get anything now, but I've written down everyone who's done a recap, and you will get some sort of bonus later on when it really matters. So, be ready for that. So, we're going to start first with a different scene. We see a grand room filled with stained glass windows, linoleum floors, marble floors, gleaming, reflecting the lights of the chandeliers. The room is empty but warm, save for 2 figures in the center who seem to be dancing. One, a woman, dressed in her finest garb. The other, a man, tall, with sallow features, dark hair. And they are dancing to music that seems to be coming from nowhere but everywhere at the same time. The man leans in close and whispers into the woman's ear. Black on black, a raven's wing A pretty girl waits for a ring. A pretty girl waits for a feast. A humble glance before a priest. Red on black, a boy lies dead. The devil came and took his head. The devil came down from the mists. His lightning blade, it never missed. Black on blue, a raven soars. A boy is free of all the wars. A boy is free of all the lies. He pays a visit to his bride. Black on black, a raven's wing. A girl in white dress does not sing. A girl in white dress only cries of black on black up in the skies. The man whispers this to the woman but does not look at her. His eyes look far away as if he is reciting this to someone else, someone not in the room. The woman does not notice this. She laughs. She holds him closer. Dark Lord, she says, I wish to be with you forever. In eternity we could rule. If only you will grant me a bit of your immortal power. Please, I am but your humble servant. I have done everything. I have sacrificed everything to serve you. The man seems to be caught off guard as he looks at her and smiles, though no, not a smile, more of a grimace. As he looks at her in almost disgust. But she doesn't seem to notice. Her eyes twinkle. Her smile widens, getting any sort of attention from her master. He leans in close to her, and she lifts her head back, exposing her neck. She closes her eyes as though she is in pure bliss. Suddenly, the man takes her head, forces it to face him. He opens his mouth and flies pour out into hers, in her mouth, up her nose, into her ears. She screams, but it is gargled by the sound of flies. She drops to the floor, sobbing and weeping. The man stands over her. I am not the Messiah sent to you by the dark powers of this land. I have not come to lead you on a path to immortality. However many souls you have bled on your hidden altar, however many visitors you have tortured in your dungeon, know that you are not the one who's brought me to this beautiful land. You are but a worm writhing in my earth. You say you are cursed, your fortune spent. You say you have given up everything, abandoned love for madness. Cursed by darkness, of that I have no doubt. Save you from your wretchedness, give you immortality. I think not. I much prefer you as you are. Elizabeth Durst looks up from her plate of maggots and flies, her pupils black. She looks at you expectantly. Well, don't just stand there. Come, sit. You look and you see that there is, in fact, only one chair that is across from her. What do you guys do?
If it's all the same to you, I think I'm just gonna stand right here. And I heft my crossbow that I'd been carrying, just kind of pat it in the palm of my hand. And I look around at the others.
Everchild has a determined look upon his face. He is looking upon the horrid sight in which he sees, but he is not shaken by this. As he takes a step forward, one, and then another, putting him 3 strides ahead of everyone else. As he approaches the chair opposite her, that does not quite, will not sit yet, but he's showing that he's willing to advance here. And if she does not react to his approach, he will continue. Sit upon the chair.
She does not, but she does give you a smile.
Fel is going to very slowly and kind of cautiously just drop her right hand to one of the kitchen knives that she has, or the only kitchen knife that she has left, tucked into her belt. And then with her left hand, she's going to kind of move that behind her back and try to bring to the fore the feeling that she had before during the rug battle, where she conjured up the bolt of fire even against Thorn more recently, to sort of, I guess, ready a firebolt cantrip at this point.
Are you trying to be sneaky about putting the dagger behind your back?
Well, no. So the dagger is pretty obvious. He's just resting her hand on the hilt of the kitchen knife. And I imagine since she's just readying the cantrip, you can decide how you want to flavor this, I guess. But I imagine the flames have not actually come to her hand yet.
Yep. No, that's fine. I wasn't sure if you had moved the dagger. No, that's good.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yep.
I mean, she's not. I don't think she's trying to hide that she's putting the hand on the dagger. So if that's a thing, there's that.
Okay.
Corla has definitely got her hand on her silvered short sword that she has. And as Everchild actually goes into the room, she's like, Everchild, what are you doing?
Everchild will ghostwise whisper to all 3 of you, and I guess 4 of you, including Oscar, and despite him being quite quiet. Beware, Elizabeth Durst. Keep your eyes keen and your hands steady. Violence may not well be the best answer here. As he will prop himself up in the chair, completely defenseless, in stark contrast to his other companions who have readied their weapons, or at least put their fingers on the triggers, so to speak. He has done nothing of the sort as he approaches diplomatically, so to speak.
Well, at least one of you has manners. Even for a halfling.
Said the creepy lady hanging out in the basement.
Basement. This is my home, my castle. Everyone here obeys me and does as I ask. She lifts another spoonful of maggots into her mouth and chews them slowly. You can hear the crunch and the squish of each one of them as she looks at you. Now, I can only guess why you've decided to come here. For a while, I was looking forward to new recruits, but that has not been the case for a very, very long time. So, why are you here? What motivated you to come in? Think you're going to save the day? Find yourselves? Or are you just looking for another house to plunder, to steal from? Come on, speak up.
With all due respect, do we look like a band of roving thieves? Yeah, we came in here under noble auspices with the intent of seeking to aid some children.
Those nuisances are still around, aren't they? What a shame. Well, so many people come in with noble intent, but that does not last long here.
How many people have come in before us?
Many, many. And you can see her eyes flick over to her left, and you can see that there's a room. And if you were to look in there, you can see a large pile of things, weapons, backpacks, ropes, just anything an adventurer would take with them. She smiles back at you. So many noble intentions. All for nothing.
How the fuck do we get out of this nightmare?
Ah, you're direct. I like that. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure.
You're not sure. So who controls this place if not you?
I didn't say I didn't control the house itself. I just said I don't know how to get out. You did say, I'm sure you saw all the fog that was outside. What it does to you. That I do not control.
Allow me to ask you the same question you asked us then. What are you doing here? What is your intent?
I, of course, am waiting for our Dark Lord to return and give us his blessing, of course.
Who's us? The only person that we've seen that wasn't something else is you. And even you don't look so great. And Fel will tighten her grip on the dagger just a little bit.
We have all received the gift of immortality from our master. Some have not taken to it very well, their minds corrupted, degenerate till they're nothing more than animals. But only his truly devout have withstood the test of time. I am one of them, naturally.
What makes you think he is coming back for you? Because you're not looking so good yourself here.
Do not question the motives of our master.
He's not my master. I can question all I want.
You are here, are you not? He is the master of this land and everything that is in it. And by extension, you. Don't kid yourself for too long. It will be easier in the long run if you don't fight it.
No lord, dark or otherwise, claims dominion over me.
Dwarf, you don't look so well. Troubled mind, I see. Interesting. You will probably fall first. If not her before you, and she would look to Fel.
I highly doubt that Eli is falling into anything except floor traps and other ridiculous nonsense, and neither will I. But I think whoever is standing nearest to her, maybe Eli, since Everchild stepped forward, maybe even Corla, would hear just a hint of uncertainty in her voice. And she'll actually step forward and she'll say, so are you just going to try and play mind games with us, or are you going to tell us why exactly we're having this conversation?
You're
Watching you eat this slop.
You're the one who walked into my home. I don't feel like I should answer. Well, I feel like I don't need a reason to speak to you in my own home.
So then what lies beyond this chamber? Anything of note?
You can see that the grip on her fork tightens. Just something that should have never been. Coming into his true form. The consequences of his unfortunate birth.
So this thing is like, I think I have an idea, but I don't know if Fel would know this, especially because she's technically exhausted right now. I completely forgot she has one level of exhaustion. So she'll look over to you, Eli, and just say, do you have any idea what the fuck she's on about?
Look, I ain't going to claim to have any idea what this woman's talking about. I'm sorry, did I just cut out there?
Nope.
Sorry, everything just froze on my end. My apologies. No, I'm kind of questioning at this point, Fel, what we're on about. Standing here at this macabre dinner table in the cellar of this strange house that's done nothing but try to kill us since we came in.
Well, we thought there was an infant here that needed saving, but after, and she'll look up kind of back in the direction that everybody came from, that we all came from, but after ghost children, I don't think there's anything here worth our time, and I think we should leave. But she doesn't know how to get out. We don't know how to get out without encountering the mist. I'm not entirely sure how we're supposed to move forward, but clearly this, and she'll nod towards Elizabeth Durst, clearly this is not going to help us.
I am right here.
Oh, believe me, I know. I can smell it.
You've indicated many have come before us, but you've not told us what has become of them.
What do you think acts as the mortar of these walls? Acts as a support. This place for our Dark Lord has been built upon many deaths, as he requested in the old text.
You keep mentioning this master. Would you care to elaborate on just who this individual is and why you think he's someone that we should be concerned with?
Oh, I see you're relatively new here then. Interesting. He will have fun with you if you get out of here alive.
Can I insight check her? I
Yep.
want to see. I feel like she's stalling for something.
Yep, you can.
Let's see how this works out. That is a 12.
She has some sort of ulterior motive, though you can't really pinpoint whether it's to stall, whether it's just to mess with you guys, or, you know. But there's something that she seems to maybe want.
When she talked about the thing that was born, I can't remember her exact words. Was she looking at either of the doors or those entrances that are in the room?
No, she was not.
Okay.
She's looking at you guys.
You got anything you want to add here? And I sort of give a side kick, more of a nudge to the chair that Everchild's sitting in.
And he will Ghostwise whisper to you alone. I am merely listening. As the best speakers, find their ears do more work than their lips. This place, it is of her evil. We have known of this. I fear for whichever puppeteer pulls at her strings. Perhaps she is mad. But I know this. She is not of anything good. And her existence will not fruit anything of good. She is an abomination to everything that walks, everything that has a heartbeat, and the sun itself. I pray for our safety.
You see suddenly that her eyes lock on you, Corla. And they suddenly widen. You have been touched by our Dark Master. He favors you. And you can see that she's getting seemingly angry.
Corla starts to, she's shocked at hearing this, and she starts to back up out of the room.
He saved you. And she begins to stand, looking at you.
Everchild Ghostwise whispers to you, Corla. Find your ground, find your center. Her words are fire. Be the mortar and stone against them, and do not burn.
Corla's eyes dart to you. She's a little off-put by what this woman is saying and how all of a sudden her demeanor has changed. And those words that you said in her head have only confused her even more, and she starts to back up even quicker. Before at some point she's going to bang into the wall that's behind her, and at that point she realizes that she can't run, and she's going to pull her blade.
He promised me when he came back, he would give me life. He would help me reign with him, and he saved you, you piece of shit! And she's going to run at you and try and stab you with one of the knives.
Firebolt.
I would like to
Crossbow bowl.
Silver sword to the
I would like to
heart.
jump from my chair.
All right. Everyone roll for initiative, and I'll let Fel act first since she was before the round start. You know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine as she rushes forward, as Elizabeth Durst rushes forward, Fel just snaps her left hand out, and this globe of teal-colored fire erupts from it. And first roll of the night is a whopping 21.
Woohoo.
All right, the next words out of my mouth were going to be, "Tell me why I shouldn't just kill you."
And this is when she flips to the monster manual and finds a CR7 baddie, and
It's a beholder, you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Suddenly
she doesn't need a
turned.
CR7 baddie. She just needs to put another spike pit in the room, and I'm done.
Basically, Eli only falls into spike pits.
Okay.
next spike pit we come across will be a mimic that's pretending to be a spike pit.
I feel like. So, Eli and Corla, what are your dexterities?
+2.
+3 for me.
Yeah, so it's Corla, Eli, Everchild, and then Fel. I'm not sure what her initiative order is, Elizabeth.
Okay, cool. All right.
And then does a 21 hit, I assume?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would hope so. Man, that hesitation, though. That was almost great. So that is only 1 point of fire damage. I imagine it kind of, maybe as she's rushing forward, the firebolt from Fel kind of clips Elizabeth Durst kind of in the side or in the shoulder, but doesn't actually hit her and then detonate. Only 1 point of fire damage.
Okay, so then that is going to be, we're going to start at the beginning, and that is going to be Corla.
Corla is going to, no hesitation, going to stick this short sword through this woman. Is anybody else within 5 feet of her?
Oh, yeah, I think I can see you guys are all kind of bunched together in this room.
Perfect. Okay, so that is a 22 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, and so that is 7 points of piercing with 3 more sneak attack. So 10 in total.
Okay. All right, and are you going to move anywhere, or I think you're all in melee range of her?
Yeah, no, I'm good where I'm at. I've kind of backed myself into a corner by accident, so I'll literally just stay there.
Okay. Next is Eli.
Firing my crossbow. Yeah. It's a 9 on the die, so that's a 15 to hit.
That does hit.
All right. So that's going to be 5 points piercing. Almost just reactive as she hurls herself across the room. I already had the crossbow at the ready. Just sort of swing it up and fire. Immediately begin reloading.
Right, and then Everchild.
Everchild would leap from his chair, seeing that Miss Durst here is becoming more and more violent, approaching my companions with her brandished knife, He will leap and try to tackle her as best as he can. Though he is a small halfling, he will instead go for the knees, trying to hobble her and stick her off balance. This will be the bull rush action, where I do a contested athletics check against her.
All right.
Hey, I'm 19 on the die for a total of 19.
Cool. All right, that beats her 17.
And I just kind of give her a bunch of momentum right into the kind of the hip and knee area to kind of just take her down. And that is my turn.
Okay. So she is now prone.
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to Fel.
Well, that's unfortunate. So seeing Elizabeth Durst go down, Fel attempts to reach out to her, her hand crackling with teal-colored arcs of electricity. But I think she's almost hesitant to touch this awful-looking woman that probably reeks of rot and decay. So at the last minute, she kind of jerks her hand back as she does miss terribly with that shocking grasp with a 9, I'm assuming.
Do you get advantage?
I rolled with advantage, yeah, because
Okay.
she's prone.
Yeah. Okay. No, that does not hit. No.
Okay, cool. And then she's going to, if she can, kind of move to, I guess, the opposite side of Elizabeth. So there's the rest of the room is kind of at her back so that she has a little more room to maneuver potentially, but she's not going to leave melee range.
Okay. Yep, that sounds good. You can easily move around her. Okay, and that is going to bring us to Elizabeth, who is going to try. Are you grappling her, or did you just trip her?
I can only trip her. I'd love to be grappling her, but that unfortunately lies outside of the action economy. So I've just knocked her prone, and I am technically not prone.
Okay, so she's just able to stand up with half her movement then?
Yeah.
Okay. She does so. And her eyes are on Corla, and she just lunges at her. And you see now that her fingernails have seemed to grow and sharpen. And as she opens her mouth, you see these sharp teeth. And she is going to attack you. She swipes at you. The knife had dropped when she had fallen, and so she's going to try and hit you. Does a 16 hit?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that is going to be that is going to be 11 piercing damage.
Ow. Okay.
And she is just standing close to you. You can smell just the rot coming from her corpse. And she's looking at you with these crazed eyes. That brings us back up to you, Corla.
Corla is going to fight for her life. You are foul, woman. That will be a 18 to hit.
That is a hit, yep.
Woo! Okay, so that will be 4 points of piercing with 6 more sneaks, so that is 10 in total.
Nice. Okay.
And as a bonus action, I'm going to disengage from her.
Okay.
And move out of the way.
All right, so are you moving out of the room then? Probably.
Yeah, I'm going to get away from this woman.
Okay. Eli.
Everchild, when you did whatever you did to her, did you vacate your seat?
Yes,
Or
I
did you
flew from my seat. I lunged.
All right, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. So in that same moment, as this whole scuffle's happening, as I'm finishing reloading my crossbow, I step up on the chair that Everchild vacated, then step up onto the table so that I have a better vantage down at now that this Elizabeth seems to have been scrumming on the floor with Corla, and an attempt to kind of keep myself just out of melee range. And I'm going to fire another crossbow bolt at her. You tell me if I'm out of range or if I need to roll at disadvantage, Megan.
What I would say probably you have to roll at disadvantage because she's kind of
Yeah,
approached you.
Pretty close quarters in this room.
Yeah.
Looking at the map now, I'm realizing even anywhere on that table, I'm still within 5 feet of her. All right. So firing at disadvantage. That's an 8 and a 13. So that's 14 on the low roll.
That does hit.
All right. So that's going to be 7 points of piercing.
Okay.
And that's the end. Wait a minute. You know what? That's not going to be in my turn. I didn't see if anybody answered me. We rested, right?
A short rest. Yeah.
A short rest? Okay. Just wanted to make sure I got my action surge back.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to action surge.
Okay.
And after I fire, I drop my crossbow onto the table and take just a quick leaping motion off of the table, drawing the windmill longsword and attempting to drive it down into her.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want any other special rolls for jumping off the table.
I would say.
I mean, forget I said that.
No, actually, I would say you can do some extra damage if you hit, because you have like the weight of yourself also coming down. So.
All right. Well, so just a straight attack roll then.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So. Let's see. Ooh, that's an 18 on the die, so that's going to be a 23 to hit.
Perfect.
As I've got this windmill sword in both hands coming down. So that's a long sword, so that's versatile, making it a D10. And you said something about extra damage?
Yeah, maybe an extra D4, maybe?
Sure.
Does that sound fair?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So that's going to be 7 and 3 is 10 plus 3, 13 points of slashing as I come down with two hands. And essentially, I'm coming down on top of her, trying to slice this sword into her.
Perfect. You can describe to me how you kill Elizabeth Durst.
Ooh. So I imagine with Corla scrambling out of the room, and she seems so desperate to get at her. And I see her almost just kind of creepily, those claws scraping at the floor where Corla was only moments before. And as I fire that bolt into her, kind of, causing her to jerk just a moment, and using that to leap off of the table, drawing the sword, two hands, putting all my weight into it. And I actually hit with my feet first, driving her into the floor, I just knocked my mic off. Driving her down into the floor, and then the sword goes through her shoulder, piercing through and stopping as it clangs against the stone floor. And I'm just holding it there, gritting my teeth, trying to just push her through the floor, almost not sure yet if she's dead or not.
You see, as Elizabeth begins to convulse on the floor, black ichor spews from her mouth. And through the black ichor, you see flies embedded, and they begin to move and they begin to fly around. He is... She's trying to utter some words out, and you can see her hands beginning to glow, and her body begins to glow in this dark light. And actually, that is going to be Everchild. What do you do? She's glowing and she's trying to say something in and amongst this black ichor that is coming from her mouth.
Everchild actually grabs Eli to help pull him away of whatever might happen, as perhaps she's about to, vomit upon him.
I would probably, I think I would, though I feel like I could probably withstand your pull. I would probably let you pull me off of her.
Okay. I would say you're able to pull him away like half your movement if you'd like.
Yeah. Cool. We'll just to get him off of, immediate bile spewing radius.
Yep. Fell.
Yeah, so seeing the Everchild pull Eli away, I guess technically she's still in melee range. She will take her action to disengage, sort of stepping back. I almost imagine in a way she's looking at the goop dripping off of Eli's sword, as well as the ichor just being splattered all over the ground. Her eyes wide, whatever spell she was attempting to cast sort of flickering and fading from her mind, because I don't think she's probably ever actually, I imagine she's probably seen people die, but I don't think she's ever actually killed anybody herself. So this is all very jarring, even though this woman is obviously corrupt and evil and monstrous. So she's moving back as far as she can after action disengaging.
All right. And so you see that as she begins to convulse and move, and she eventually gets out the words, "He is the ancient, he is the land. Strahd, forgive me." And everyone who is within 10 feet of her needs to make a dexterity saving throw, please. Which I don't know if anyone is? Question mark?
Can we, can we be more than 10 feet away from her in this room?
Well, not in the room, but there's that hallway, which I would say would provide cover.
Because Everchild was pulling me away for this express purpose, I feel like I would be blocking Everchild completely. I don't know if I'm still in the range. I don't know how far. In my mind, and I'm known to be dyslexic on the way these things are, we were on the far side of the room, the south side of the room.
I imagine the same thing as well. So I would have pulled you away, probably either into that hallway that's on the other side of the table, right? That's on the left, on the west, or into that southwest corner of the room. Even if maybe it only has been like 5 feet actually.
So there is kind of like another little alcove there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where he was saying he would have pulled toward that.
And so what would be half your movement?
Half my movement would be 12 and a half.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So I think everyone is not within the 10 feet.
All right.
That is great, because that would have done a lot of damage. So you see that she just explodes in this dark, glowing ichor. And you can see that whatever this ichor has touched just begins to eat away at it. It seems to glow, but then quickly subsides, and you all hear the sound of a breath slowly exhale, and then silence.
Everchild looks up to you, Eli, and goes and whispers to you, "Are you injured?" And begins to kind of like look you up and over as if some grandma trying to make sure that you're dressed for the winter, just making sure that you don't have any nicks or wounds that you might not be aware of.
I think I'm all right. And I sort of just, because even though I'm a dwarf, Everchild being, you're a halfling, not a gnome, correct?
Halfling, yeah.
So you're, I don't know, a little bit smaller than me.
Yeah.
So I imagine just kind of pushing you aside a little bit, just as I cautiously go into the room to make sure my crossbow is okay, where I dropped it on the table, and then picking it up, looking at where this woman was, maybe shaking off a few maggots off the crossbow.
So since the crossbow was in range, I need you to roll me a D100, please.
Ooh, I like it. All right. That is a 22.
All right, so there is a little bit of, you can see that a bit of this ichor got onto the wood and has kind of eaten through it a bit, but it is still in working condition.
All right. Well,
just a few holes.
I will go ahead and pick it up and attach it to my rucksack. That's actually a wooden chest. One for
Corla,
game.
Everchild whispers out telepathically with a silent speech to you, Corla, asking if you are unarmed in this.
I have both my arms. She would. You would see her actually, because she had gone out probably the north end there. That's kind of how I imagined she was leaving the room as this woman was attacking her. She would kind of come around the corner, trying very hard not to step in whatever remains on the floor. This is a horrible house. I hate this place. And she would walk over to you, Everchild, and you can see that she is bleeding profusely. She's got this humongous gash across her, probably belly, from where this woman hit her.
Everchild would run up to you, and this is not well. This is not good, he whispers to you. And as he goes and approaches you, and his hands begin to glow, though a bit softer than before, he closes his eyes and looks down as he runs up to you, and his hands outstretched and they place upon your belly, but it does not heal. For all you can get is a mere guidance spell, as he is out of spell slots, and as he's trying to channel this healing energy, nothing comes of it. As you can even see wrinkles begin to appear upon Everchild's face and on his body, and his hands become a bit more haggard, showing his actual age rather than his youthful appearance, as he is essentially low on clericy powers today. Yes, you just get a D4 in your next ability check or skill check that you make. and then he will apologize to you. Oh, I'm sorry. Seems Lathander's light is fading today in this place.
It is a dark place. It is okay, Everchild. What is important is that she is not here no more. Maybe now we can get out of this place. Find the end.
I fear she was only a guardian and only a puppet.
What she says bothered me. About the Dark Lord. I do not know what she was talking about. I do not remember any of that. I do not want to believe that she was telling any truth.
Do not take her words to heart. A woman left in such a place for this long will say strange things as they eat maggots and wait for hundreds of years, perhaps. Who knows how long her enchanted form lies seated in that chair.
How is everyone
Perhaps
else?
she thought of someone else when she looked at you.
I imagine that at this point, Fel would kind of pipe up from where she's at in like a corner, trying not to heave. When she hears you talking about the not wanting to accept any truth in this woman's words, she'd just say, "Yeah, don't worry about it, Corla. I found a book in the study that said that my aunt was going to kill my father, my aunt was going to die of a cut, and that my traveling companions would betray and kill me. So I don't know if we can really believe anything in this house." And then she's just going to kind of turn away from the splatter of maggots and ichor and just dry heave a few times before saying, "Well, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Let's go somewhere else, please."
So since you guys went into that southwest entrance, that is where that Corla saw, or I guess you guys saw Elizabeth Durst look to that huge mound of stuff in the corner.
Yeah, I'd definitely be taking a look at that.
And Fel would trail behind Eli.
If you guys take some time to look through it, you guys will find some things. So do you take a few minutes to kind of sift through? A lot of the stuff is really, really old, rusted beyond use.
I would imagine, yes, we would take the time. I know I plan on taking the time and just kind of initially picking at pieces of rotted old rope, moving aside, maybe some old moldy leather armor, rusty swords and daggers. I think it's been a very long time that a lot of this stuff has been down here. We're just lucky our own stuff isn't added to this pile. As I continue digging through it just to see if there's anything worthwhile.
And aiding in Eli's rummaging, Everchild will sit cross-legged upon the ground, making a strange, dusty imprint upon the ground. As he sets apart these 4 incense, making kind of a square around him, as he begins his ritual of detect magic, hoping, and he knows that sometimes adventurers in strange places come across strange things, and he'll open up his soulful eye to see the magic that may lie within the things inside this hoard, so to speak.
So
as he casts the ritual of detect magic.
So as you're looking and as the rest of you are kind of sifting through this stuff, Everchild, you do see a faint glow coming from some of the things from the pile. And so you guys will find a cloak inside, and it's actually a cloak of protection. You find a small wooden box with elvish runes carved, not the ones that were on those odd boxes. These are more like like I said, elven. And inside you find 4 potions of healing. You also find within the pile a chain, and this is all stuff that is usable. There's tons of stuff in there that is just so old it is unusable, but you do find a chain shirt, a mess kit. You find another small box. This one etched in some sort of archaic runes, and inside you find alchemist fire. You find a lantern with still a bit of oil in it. You find a set of thieves' tools. And you also see a very odd book. This book is bound in leather, and you see that it is filled with spells. So if you were to look through it, you would see that inside this spell book is Disguise Self, Identify, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Protection from Good and Evil, Dark Vision, Hold Person, Invisibility, and Magic Weapon. Corla, you find all of your things in and amongst this pile. Whatever you had with you when you went in with the others, you would find them here.
Perfect. So now I have a backpack that is actually a backpack with all my stuff.
And Everchild will kind of exclaim or make note of anything that Eli and whoever's rummaging as well pulls out there are these magical things, and he'll just he'll utter in a ghostwise whisper to everyone, "That one. No, not that. Put that down. The other one." To identify the cloak of protection and the potions and such. As he is literally closing his eyes, he's just meditating and praying there, and somehow he's able to see what you guys are manipulating.
So we need to just determine if anybody wants particular items here. Fellow or Everchild. Unless I'm mistaken, this book might be of use to one or both of you. I never had much, never took much to the arcane arts, but I do recognize some arcane sigils and phrasings in this book. So if one of you want this.
I mean, I'll take it if you don't need it or want it. I'm good with books. It'd be nice to have a new one. Megan, real quick, as Fell's kind of rummaging through and listening to Eli, could she find something in this pile that would work potentially as an arcane focus?
Yes, you can describe. I'll give you just artistic license to
Yay!
say
Okay.
whatever you find.
So, because it's Barovian, I think this is appropriate. So, as Eli is talking about this book and Fell is expressing her interest in, I think she would sort of stop as she feels something kind of jutting out of the pile and jabbing into her palm, and she kind of yanks her palm back and kind of wipes a little bit of blood off. And then she kind of carefully reaches in and she pulls out, I imagine it's like this little length of bone, like this yellowish white bone that has been carved with these arcane sigils and glyphs. And at first she starts to drop it, but then something compels her to hang on to it, whether it's the effect of Barovia or just her newfound abilities. But she keeps it and kind of without even realizing it, just tucks it into her belt alongside the kitchen knife. And then glances back to Eli and says, I'm sorry, what were you saying? There's a book, right?
Yes, this book here is full of, looks to be some sort of magics, of which I have no particular interest. So I was saying either you or the Everchild here might, unless, pardon me for making the assumption, Corla, if you have some kind of kinship with the magic, perhaps even you could be of interest to this.
Did you just wake up one day and have the ability to shoot fire out of your hands? It's a thing that happens, apparently.
Is that what happened with you?
Yes, Eli, we literally talked about this.
It's been a long few hours down in this basement.
It has. That's very true.
Well, I'll just set it here, and whoever wants the book can write it down on their character sheet.
Yeah, I mean, Fel will definitely grab that unless somebody wants it more than her. But yeah, she'll definitely take that.
Megan went too fast. I wasn't able to write down all of the spells listed in there.
Yeah, you
That's
might
okay.
have to share that with us
Yeah,
there.
I can give you.
on.
Yeah, I can give you a list.
Thieves' tools. Anybody not already have these that would like these? This tool set. If not,
Well, I did find mine, but there's always good time for spare. But yeah, if someone else wants.
well, I mean, if there's a benefit of you having more than one set, go ahead and take them. What about the now?
Yeah, we have a cloak of protection.
There's a cloak of protection. So is that's a AC bump, Megan? If I remember correctly.
I think
It
it's
was
a
AC
+1
and
to
saving throws.
Yeah,
I
plus
believe.
1 to AC and saving throws. I believe that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And Everchild will actually ghostwise whisper to you, Eli, and you alone. Perhaps the man that has injured the most shall have the cloak to spare some injury.
I was thinking perhaps I'd take this chain shirt and put
Perhaps
it on under my jacket. Do you have that little faith in my ability to keep myself on 2 feet, Everchild?
And I like how you're speaking out loud. And Everchild is
Oh
whispering
yeah,
to you.
absolutely. 100%. I think everybody's pretty much used to this kind of thing by now.
And he'll whisper back to you, Eli, my magic may be able to ward off the blades, but if I am gone, you'll need something as well.
And I'm willing to, when Oscar's in a more talkative mood, if he wants to lay claim to either of these things, but if nobody has any objection, I'll take both the chain shirt and the cloak of protection, unless somebody else wants it, because that's going to bump me. The shirt's going to give me an additional 2 AC, I think, because it's going to bump my armor class up because I'll swap out for my leather armor. So I'm willing to let somebody else have the cloak of protection if they want it. Otherwise,
I would not mind having it actually, if
well, I will gladly, and I will actually sort of, as I pick it up and just kind of shake it out and just drape it over your shoulders. So you have the cloak of protection.
it is pretty color. Matches my clothing.
I'll take the chain shirt. We've got 5 of us, but 4 potions of healing here.
Would y'all look at that?
Now, what I'm gonna do is take one of these bottles, and I'm gonna put the other 3 over here, and you guys can decide who takes those. But I kind of feel like I'm gonna need one of these sooner rather than later.
Especially if there's any more, floor traps or anything. I think maybe myself, Carla, and the Everchild should each get one, since Oscar is fairly hardy. We can always give one to him if need be.
All right, so each of you then have, each of us each has 1 potion of healing. I'm marking these off.
Everchild will actually deny the potion of healing and say to give it to Oscar instead.
All right, so I'll mark out down that Oscar has 1. The mess kit. I think I've already got one. I don't know if anybody needs that. I think I'll just take as this extra stuff. The mess kit. Who amongst us? I can't remember. Who amongst us does not have dark vision?
Probably Corella, I think, or no, Everchild.
Everchild is the halfling who does not have dark vision.
So I will hand you the lantern.
But Everchild glows.
Ah, well.
It fits with the picture.
Otherwise-
So give me the lantern. I'll stick my hand kind of inside of it and then, like glow from inside the lantern.
I heard you
Like-
liked lanterns, so I got a lantern for your lantern.
And you'll use it to like aim the light from his glowing, the focus that's inside his clenched fist.
All right. So just to wrap it up, then, I've got I'll put the mess kit in my ruck chest and
Ruck chest,
yeah.
which is
I've
actually
already used the phrase once this session. I'm not gonna overuse it, but and then I'll take this alchemist fire. If-
Are you?
unless
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind hanging on to that, honestly, unless you really want it.
well, all right then. I guess here you go.
Thanks. I've always been curious about this sort of thing, and probably for the first time in a while, you see Fel kind of smile as she takes it, and she's like looking at it and just like, this is going to be fucking incredible. And then she kind of closes it and puts it in her bag.
There's a raised eyebrow from me.
perhaps
as
we
you
should not give it to
eagerly
her.
take the
I'm
fire.
excited. I'm excited. All right, this is something that I semi understand. How many vials of this stuff are there, Megan? Or is it
There was just the one alchemist
Just
fire.
one.
I mean,
Okay. Cool.
and that was along with the box that was etched in arcane runes.
Yes.
So according to my notes, everything has been disseminated.
Mhm.
So, meaning you should have it written down in your own sheet because I've crossed it out. All right. Well, I guess we need to figure out what we're going to do next.
Are there
She's
any
still-
other? Oh, sorry, real quick, Megan. Are there any other like baubles, trinkets, anything in this pile, or have we pretty much scoured it for everything useful at this point?
Yeah, you've pretty much everything else. Like there are some weapons, but they've all been horribly. Either they have this horrible ichor on them, or they've just been so rusted or broken, they're unusable.
Okay. Yeah, so I imagine for a moment, Fel feels like, again, this weird cold sweat kind of trickling down the back of her neck as she's looking at this just mound of crap, basically. And then she realizes there's really nothing, not even of mild value here. And so she calms, then turns back to the group as Eli speaks.
So, this room has no other doors or anything. It's a fairly plain room. There is one large moldy mattress bed, way nicer than the other ones that you guys had seen in the other rooms. But other than that, and this pile of stuff, that's pretty much it in this room.
She spoke of her cast-off child as if it were in the room adjacent to this. Whatever lies beyond, we should steel ourselves, both in body, mind, and in spirit.
Who is Everchild whispering to?
Everybody.
Gotcha, just making sure.
He goes like / whisper all, and then says that.
Send all. I agree. I think we could use a rest, a longer rest than the one we took before we go any deeper into this shit show.
Perhaps somewhere far from the stench of this place.
Do you think it's worth heading back upstairs, or is that too far?
Who knows how the place shifts and changes behind our backs.
That's true.
We've seen the mist follow us as if a hungry stray dog.
Speaking of stray dog, thank you, Connor. DM, where's Lancelot?
Surprisingly, he is unharmed.
Damn it, Megan.
He is the luckiest dog you've ever
He
seen.
is.
He does not seem to have a care in the world.
Gotcha. So I
As-
imagine seeing this. Fell's like, no, Lancelot, don't eat that. And she kind of like pulls him away from that. It's like, how in the name of... Anyway, the dog's fine, in case anybody was curious. Gross. She kind of wipes some of the ichor off of his muzzle.
He wags his tail at you and kind of does that little, like, prance that a lot of excited dogs do.
You are disgusting, but I'm glad you're okay.
So are we talking about not staying here in this room that appears to have no other exits?
Well, I thought the Everchild was referring to going back to that chamber where we rested before, the one with the beds and the...
Everchild is just merely like noting the fact that we're literally smelling and seeing maggots crawling everywhere, and like a foul black slime hanging off the walls. There's a feast of rotten gourds and moldy soup and bread that's literally has little legs and it's scuttling around the room. He's just taking note of this.
You make it sound so hospitable.
But that was in the next room.
It's 10 feet away. How weak is your nose?
Is there a door to this room? I mean, could we close the door ideally, Megan?
Yep, there is a door that was open already.
I mean, we could just close the door and pretend that we're not sleeping 10 feet away from all of that. So kind of gesture in that direction, all of that.
And Everchild will actually help mask the scent using his fragrant incense that he sets up.
Before we fully commit to bedding down in this room, I'm just going to give it a once over, making sure there's like looking under the bed, maybe sliding the bed out away from the wall, make sure there's nothing, no openings or anything like that. Looking around the room to make sure. I mean, we had a room with a well in it. Now, granted, that was an obvious opening, but a bunch of dead things climbed up out of there. So I don't want to lock ourselves in this room and then be locked in when something else comes in.
So give me an investigation check, please.
Okay, let's see. That's going to be 13.
You do not find anything abnormal with the room. It just seems very old, very dusty, but well constructed.
All right. Well, feels secure enough.
I mean, we can post watches and stuff, right? That's what you do when you're traveling on the road, right, Eli?
Absolutely. I will post my watch right here, and I'm going to sit down in that little hallway between the two next to the closed door with my crossbow with my sword in my lap.
Okay.
And I will take the last, so I may meet the dawn. I cannot see it, however, but I know when it will happen.
I
And
would love,
Everchild will take the last watch.
I
So
would
we're
love
taking
to
a
rest
long
first.
rest, correct?
Yeah.
And
Aye.
as I sit down, kind of just securing my back against the wall and my feet just not even, I guess, wouldn't even stretch across the hall since I'm a dwarf. I pull out from an inside pocket a small book, a small leather-bound journal. It's singed around the edges. And I take out a small charcoal pencil and I flip slowly through the book. If anybody's looking at the book, they may or may not recognize it, but for me, it's an intensely personal book. It is a prayer book to Shantea. But it's not the prayers that I'm looking at. It's the lists of dozens and dozens of names that are written in the margins on the pages at the beginning and the end. And I flip slowly through the book until I find a place where the margins have not had names written in them. And I sit there for a moment thinking of just sort of looking towards the ceiling, thinking of the things we've been through, the things we've seen just within this house. And I was stalling trying to remember the name of the kids. I'm blanking on
Thornbolt
their-
and Rosevalda.
Yes, thank you. Rose and Thorn. And then I write those names down in the margins of my book. And I quietly whisper their names as I write them down. And as everybody's just kind of going about and starting to drift off or whatever, while I'm on watch, I'm not talking loud, very loud at all, just enough so that I can hear. But it sounds like I'm speaking to different people, almost as if carrying casual greetings and conversations, small memories, like you would if you're talking to somebody you haven't seen in a while, or maybe like you would if you were greeting somebody at a weekly church service.
So you all drift off to sleep. Fell. You find yourself at a dinner table. You are dressed in fine clothes similar to the ones that your aunt made you wear, I'm sure. And you are at a very large table. You see surrounding you Corla, Eli, and Everchild, and Oscar. Dressed differently than how you know them now. They are dressed in fine clothes. The scratch, the dirt, the grime that is on them has been washed away. They look pristine. The worry lines in their faces are gone. They seem to be talking happily with each other. You see your aunt. You see your father. You see Rose and Thorn. You see Elizabeth Durst and her husband. Everyone seems to be eating, and everyone is talking and laughing. But it all seems to be just noise to you. As you're looking around, you almost seem to be in a daze. It almost seems as though you're trapped in a room. A glass room. You can hear that there is talking, but you can't decipher what they're saying. They seem to look at you in expectation for you to say something back. But you can't find yourself able to move, able to speak. You look at the head of the table. Your own faculties you are not in charge of. You seem to be, again, a passenger in your body, similar to when you were possessed by Thorn. You look at the head of the table. You see a tall, dark figure. His skin is white. His cheekbones are sallow. His eyes are dark. He seems to be looking at only you, Fel. He is not speaking with the rest of the people. He is not laughing. He is not taking part in the revelry of this meal. He is just staring at you. And as he looks, he smiles. And you can see sharp fangs protrude out from his mouth. And you hear him as clear as day in your head, though his mouth does not move. Eat. And as you look down, you see that tomato soup. That was your last meal at your home. And your hand reaches for the spoon, and you go and you pick it up. And you look up quickly and you see the rest of your comrades. And you see the body on the table. You see Corla and Eli and Everchild pulling parts from this body and eating it. As if it was perfectly normal. They're carrying on their conversation. While this woman lays on the table, dead, parts of her body ripped apart. And you look back down at your soup, and the red shade of blood hits you before you wake up in a cold sweat.
Did Fel recognize the woman being ripped apart or the person being ripped apart at all?
Roll me a perception at disadvantage, please.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, that's a 13 and a 1.
You do not recognize this woman.
So I imagine she jolts up, sort of breathing heavily. Lancelot's probably nearby somewhere. She kind of wipes the sweat off her face, and she looks around. Does she see anything unusual?
You see Eli keeping watch, and you see Corla, Oscar, and Everchild sleeping away in wherever they chose to lay their head.
So she waits for a moment for her breathing to become more regular, for her heart to stop trying to force its way out of her chest, because that was fucking terrifying. Good job, Megan. And she's actually going to go over to Eli, actually, where he's sitting down, and just kind of sit next to him and not say anything for a second. And then she'll kind of look over at him and just say, "Hey, how are things? All quiet?"
I closed the prayer book that was in my hand still. Hey there, Fel.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
Nah,
saw
no.
that you were talking or doing something earlier. I just didn't want to say anything.
Just musing out loud to myself. Like to think things through. Tend to mutter a bit, but no mind. What seems to be troubling you?
She'll glance away for a moment, sort of rubbing or wringing her hands together. I said that I wanted to talk to you after we got out of here, but maybe I just had this dream, and maybe it's better if I talk to you about this now. And she hesitates. I feel so out of my depth in this situation. I have to be honest with you, and you seem competent. You're capable. You seem to have maybe not an idea of what's going on, but you're you're knowledgeable enough to act, and you don't spout platitudes like the Everchild does. You're not. I mean, he's fine, but it's just sometimes, between the whispering in your head that's constant and just the, parables and whatnot, it's a bit much, and Carla, I mean, we found Carla in this house, and everything in this house has been terrible. And apparently she's chosen by a Dark Lord. I don't know. Point is, I'd like you to try and, if you can, teach me some of what you know as far as hunting monsters. That's like how you introduce yourself. Hello, I'm Eli the Dwarf. By the way, I hunt monsters. So if you could pass some of that on to me, maybe I would not feel so. And she's like reaching for words, so useless, I suppose.
Well, I can tell you, if you're thinking that thinking of yourself as being useless, Felitha, you could not be further from the truth. Now, granted, some things got the better of you there a little ways back.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I've read about possession, never actually experienced it. That was something else.
Once upon a time in my own past, I've dealt to a certain degree with elements of possession and keeping it at bay. And, well, I can't say as I'm fully equipped to be able to deal with that in a way that would prevent it. But I can tell you this, it's not your fault.
Right.
There was nothing that you could have done to prevent that necessarily. And perhaps it was supposed to happen, if that makes sense.
Not really. Now you're starting to sound like the Everchild.
Just listen to me for a moment.
Mhm.
I'm not going to fill your head with platitudes.
Thank you.
I'm not going to preach at you. I'm not going to tell you everything's going to be okay. But what I am going to tell you is you, the Everchild, Oscar, myself, and I imagine Lancelot. I can just imagine Lancelot coming over and putting his head on Fell's shoulder or lap.
Mhm.
And I just reach over and kind of rub behind his ears a moment. Even this little feller here, Corla, all of us have been brought together in this particular circumstance. These very peculiar circumstances.
Aye.
And thus far, none of us has hesitated to do what we need to make sure that each and every one of us is still standing like we are now. I like to think there's a reason we're all together. We've all got our strengths and we've all got our weaknesses. And, my weakness seems to be an inability to recognize holes in the ground.
That's true.
Which is ironic, as close to the ground as I am.
Right? Doesn't make any sense at all.
Exactly. But you're wrong to think that you don't have abilities. I've seen what you can do with these magical forces that perhaps you'll grow into with more time. You seem pretty handy with a knife. But yeah, I've learned a few things over the last few years and how to wield a variety of weapons. And I'd be happy to, whenever we have a little bit of time here and there, teach you a few things about whatever it is you're looking to learn.
No, I'd appreciate that. And don't get me wrong, I know that I have, like you said, my own contributions to make to the group. Even and then she kind of looks around for a minute, and for the first time, I imagine she realizes, where the hell did Gleowin go? But then she just kind of is like, no, we'll leave that for another time. She probably just got eaten by the house. We all, like you said, have something to contribute. If there's a way to make sure that something like what happened with Thorn doesn't happen again, that would be ideal. I'm not the best fighter, but I know sometimes, well, with a lot of things, the more you practice, usually the better you get at it. So any insight, any information you'd be able to pass on, I'd appreciate. And I'll keep trying to make, and she'll kind of waggle her fingers, whatever this is, work.
Phil, now don't mistake this as preaching.
Mm-hmm.
Far be it from me to attempt to force the God's views upon anyone. You don't want to talk about some individuals that have some flaws. But do you believe in the gods?
I mean, yes. I'd say I do.
Do you believe that the gods, that their powers, their words have some degree of power?
I would say so. I mean,
Even
just
if
look at the
they're just
Everchild.
even if they're just words written on a page.
Oh, yeah, written words have power, godly or otherwise. Absolutely.
I want you to take this. And I flip through the book of prayers that I have, and I go towards the back and flip to a section. And this close up, Phil, you'd probably notice that there's quite a few dozen names written in the margins. But this prayer book is marked up and looks very old, singed around the edges. But it looks like if anybody's had a grandfather or father or anybody, you have a family Bible, it's marked up with highlighting and underlining and notes in the margin. It's kind of like that. And I flipped to a certain page, and I tell you, this book is a book of prayers from Shantea. Now, Shantea and I aren't exactly on the best of terms these days, but I can't help but feel a bit of solace in those words on these pages. I want you to take this, and I carefully tear a single page out of the prayer book.
Oh, Eli, you don't need to do that.
Nope. One of the important things here is to pass this on to you, I think. And it's already done all the good it's going to do me. Perhaps you can find some solace in these words. And if you don't care that they're the words of the gods, supposedly of a god, that's fine. Take them just for the words written on the page that they are. And maybe these will help you. And you'll find that there's you're going to find like a third of a column of a partial, whatever the previous prayers were, and only part of maybe a quarter of the other part. But there is a contained section of verses, kind of like a scripture verse, but it is a prayer that talks about girding yourself in. It actually talks a lot about what we've been talking about. A lot of the words talk about surrounding yourself with friends and allies and people that are strong, taking strength from those around you, lifting one another up, and lifting one another towards the light, things like that. It is, pages from a holy book. So it reeks of, that kind of holy nature
Right.
to it. But I take it and I hand it to you with two hands, putting one meaty dwarven hand under yours, placing the page on top and kind of holding it there for a moment. If you can't just trust in these words as the words of Shantea, trust in them as words that I, your friend, have given to you. And then I let go of your hand, leaving the page.
And Fel will sit there for a moment looking at you, Eli, and it's sort of this unreadable expression on her face. She almost seems surprised, not by the page, but by what you've just said. and she looks down at the page, and then she very carefully kind of folds it in half and then tucks it into her little backpack, and she says, I didn't have a whole lot of friends back in Daggerford. Thank you, Eli, for this and for what you've said, and I do trust you, and I really hope we get out of here soon, because this place is like nothing I've ever seen before, and it seems like it's like nothing you've ever seen before, which is even more terrifying.
Well, you got friends now. As I look around the room at all the others.
Well, I at least have two, and then she'll kind of rub Lancelot behind the ears. Right, I'm going to go back to sleep. Let you get back to what you're doing. Thank you, and then she'll get up and head back over to where she was sleeping before, and kind of curl up and go back to sleep.
That was super cool. That was so awesome.
I didn't expect to go all Pastor Eli there, but
converting the heathens.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Very, very well done, you two. So the rest of the night, for the rest of you, you take your turns keeping watch. Your dreams are dark. Not the fact that you didn't have dreams. You dreamt of darkness. Nothing moving, nothing, no sounds, no sights, just eternal, perpetual darkness. And as you all awake, you feel uneasy, but rested, as you have taken advantage of a full rest. The lighting has not changed, however, so you aren't sure exactly how much time has passed. But you all feel much better.
I feel like Everchild's a really, really strong circadian clock, as he is literally a cleric of the morning god, and so he'd probably be like the proverbial rooster in this case that will cock-a-doodle-doo to show that it's morning time. But his cock-a-doodle-doo is not an exclaim of some bird trying to yearn for a mate. It's in fact the humble prayer of a silent and mute halfling who is doing his prayers in the dust and in the incense and even in the smoke itself as they waft around him in strange shapes, as he prays to the morning lord to give him the strength and the renewal and the light to carry the group forward, as a lantern, as a torch, as the beacon, to guide them from the path of darkness and into strange places, but resolute nonetheless. But there's something that harries the mind of Everchild, and only those that are inside his mind can really tell where it wanders. But he palms at the feather left behind by Gleowen. And in this moment, in this solace, in this solitude, he misses her. He misses her presence, but he is grateful for what she had helped him with. And this dream is really what reminded him of Gleowen and now her absence. As his mind wanders in the dreamscape, in an abyss of nothingness, it recalls to him how Gleowen pulled a certain dream out of the ether and into his head. A dream of people vague around a fire, wearing tattoos and woads, far from the priesthood of Lathander. People that Everchild knew were his own family. And this is the first time he's seen such a sight, when Gleowen did it to him long ago. And that is why Everchild had with Gleowen with him. But now Gleowen is gone, taken away by the vile mist of Strahd. And perhaps one of the party members would notice that Everchild has this feather that he holds in his hand, and the hand is on his lap as he prays, as the morning time comes.
And so you all awake and you get ready, and the place is quiet. You've all gotten used to the smell by now, so you hardly even detect the smell, but you can still hear the slight buzzing of flies coming from outside of the door, especially. So, where would you guys like to go? What to do?
I don't like leaving, as I said before, I don't like leaving the unknown behind us. I know, Fel, and perhaps the others, you're eager to get the hell out of this place. And I would open the door into that dining area, probably getting a little hit with the odor that we had kept at base lately, and indicate the door across the room there.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least one unexplored area, and I know there's a couple other places we didn't go down here. I just don't like the idea that we might be leaving something that can follow us. Now, maybe I'll just go over here and it's a closet. And I'm actually going to head over towards that door.
Okay. Do you open it?
Everchild will be with you, Eli. As you go to the door, he knows your intentions, perhaps even if you exclaimed them or not. His mind is also focused on the door as well, and he will join you.
Yeah, I think I'd open it.
Okay. It opens with a groan. And you see a path that leads to your left. And it opens up into a large room. Do you walk in further to get a better look at the room?
Well, first, opening the door and seeing that it's kind of goes in and curves off to the left, I just look down and over to Everchild. Well, it's not a closet. And yeah, I'll walk in.
Perhaps a closet for giants.
Oh,
Do you
it's
follow?
big in here.
Sorry. Fel and Corla, do you follow?
I do. Do I recognize that room when we get to it?
You do not.
Okay, good. Then I will walk in.
Yeah, Fel will be trailing at the rear with Lancelot. I'm just sort of looking around and trying not to inhale the stank.
You walk in and you see skeletons hang from rusty shackles. At the far end of the hall stands a painted statue carved in the likeness of a gaunt man dressed in black cloak. Fel, this is in fact the man who you saw at the head of the table in your dream. He is standing by what looks to be a wolf, sitting. His hand is placed on the wolf's head, and in his right hand, the statue holds a smoky gray crystal orb that casts a pale sheen across the floor. You begin to all hear the low sound of whispers. Hundreds of voices whispering all at once in almost a chant. It's low, barely even audible, but if you listen, you hear, "He is the ancient. He is the land." What do you guys do?
Everchild
So-
whispers. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
Everchild whispers to all of us, "Steel yourselves." And he will take a step forth into the room, and he will glow bright as a beacon as he casts light upon himself, guiding and just shining bright, filling himself with the light of Lathander, and takes a stride, 2 strides, 3 strides, even 4, into the room, and stands across from this statue and stares up at it.
The statue seems to be following you, its gaze never leaving your own. You see a grimace. Or a sly grin, you can't really tell, on the face of this man.
And Everchild will stand there, and one by one he pulls out this same incense that he lights so often, and he will light it, and he will set it on the ground around him, and he'll begin his prayers as he begins the ritual for Detect Magic, standing out in the open. And this will give you guys 10 minutes to do whatever you'd like, as Everchild inhales deeply the smokes of his incense and taps into his soulful place.
Crossbow at the ready. Are we still hearing these? Are the whisperings continuous, or we're...
Yes, they are continuous. They just repeat that same sentence.
But we don't see where they're coming from.
No, they seem to be coming from everywhere.
So, yeah, I imagine this kind of... I've got my crossbow at the ready and just sort of walking. I'm relatively close. I would probably stay within about 5 feet of the Everchild, trying to keep him safe while he's doing whatever it is he's doing. But I've got the crossbow at the ready, and I'm continuously looking around, keeping an eye on all these skeletons, but also just looking around at all the whispering and everybody. Keep yourself at the ready.
I need you, Eli, to make a perception check, please.
I can do that. Let's see. Perception is +1. With a +1, that is going to be 5.
You just see a bunch of skeletons in an otherwise very, very plain room. Actually, everyone who is kind of looking around the room can make a perception check. All right. You guys actually never mind. You all just see a room. This orb, for you, Everchild, seems to be glowing, filled with magic.
And I can kind of tap into the to the strings and vibrations of this magic, and determine its, I believe, spell school. Let me just quickly look this up. Yes, the school of magic that it bears, if any, being abjuration through necromancy, etc.
Well, DM panic.
I feel your pain, Megan, because I hate that aspect of detect magic, because you don't always know. That's the part where, as a DM, I don't know every school of magic what it covers.
I know, and especially if you're like making something up, you're like, ah.
So what you can do, you can just tell me what it does, and then I can tell you the school
Okay,
that it
yeah.
may fall under, and then you can tell me the school that it falls under.
Okay. I like that last part you put in. So you can see that it's kind of like an eye. Somebody is watching on the other side.
And yeah, and Everchild, his eyes are closed as he has these deep breaths. And he will just say out loud, though not out loud, truly speaking, but out loud in the ghostwise whisper that he does. This is the Watcher's eye. The puppet was beyond, and this is where he witnesses, perhaps.
As soon as you kind of tap into that, you feel very cold. Everchild.
And Everchild responds to this coldness by just shining 10 luminosities brighter than he was before. Just reacting to this sensation just through just sheer steadfastness in his strange light magic.
You start to light it, and as you said that you lighted candles or incense around you.
Incense around me.
Okay. So as you do this light, it suddenly goes out in your hand. Not to your own will. You hear a person, a voice rise up amongst the whispering chanting. Lathander's light does not reach you here. And it seems to be coming from the orb.
And he will respond back, if even possible, with my Ghostwise Whisper. I'm not quite sure if that might even work, but he would try to respond to the voice. Who are you to quench Lathander's light?
I am the ancient. I am the land. It seems to say in unison with the whispering around you, though the voice is much more pronounced than the chorus of whispering.
And this orb, what is it made of, and how is it fixed to the statue?
It seems to be just resting on the statue's hand, and it's black. It looks almost like a very large, like black pearl.
And Everchild will whisper to Eli, and Eli alone. Destroy the orb. Shatter it.
Was the words, was Everchild the only one that was hearing this voice?
Yes, okay. Yeah.
But you saw him, like, his light got snuffed out. And then, like, moments later, he just commands you to do this.
I think that, coupled with the fact that I have been hearing all of this whispering, I'm going to swap out my crossbow. Kind of just swapping it out for the warhammer. And while still continuing to move around the room, and as I pull the warhammer off the side of my pack and swing it down, as I turn around, I'm just going to use that motion to just swing around with both hands and try to shatter this orb. Because nothing will go wrong when I do this.
As your blade connects with the orb, you see flashbacks of fire, of chaos, of blood, of death, all seeming in an instant. It takes the breath out of your lungs. It makes your head spin, your eyes hurt. You can smell smoke and death. Poor dwarf. Abandoned. And that is all you hear coming from the orb. As it does, in fact, shatter.
Whoa, that was unexpected. Everything all right?
I just looked to Everchild. Is everything all right?
Whatever dark powers be, their fingers stretch out from that orb and into this place.
Yeah, I
It is a
felt it.
conduit for the Dark Lord's power, whoever that may be. And after it is shattered, does Everchild's hand glow once more?
Yes.
We've done a good thing here, Eli. And he will kind of brandish his glowing fist when he says this.
Though as you light it, Everchild, though it might have just been your imagination, you're not quite sure, in amongst the whispering chanting that has still continued to go on, you think you might hear a deep, rumbling laughter.
Let us move on from this place.
Everchild. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Everchild, as you're kind of wheeling around, you notice something odd about the north wall. It seems to be cracked in one section, in the middle, as if someone had hastily put up something to cover, some clay to cover up a part of the wall.
Jake got me in the chat. I think as Everchild walking up to leave this place through that northern exit, he will spy this kind of this strange seam in the wall, and he will go up to it and he'll trace his finger along the crack, non-verbally pointing it out to any that watch the strange little man do the strange little things he does.
It feels extremely hollow. Like if you just would knock on it, it would crumble.
I think Everchild would kind of just tap, tap, tap with his knuckle, kind of breaking away those shaly bits of the wall.
Yeah, and where you hit it, it just crumbles away, revealing a hole where you had tapped it.
And I think that he will kind of break away more of this wall and expose kind of a little passageway for himself, though that is only 3 feet off the ground and no one else could walk through it. But he would look into this hole and using his light to kind of just show or to kind of peer what may lie beyond. And it's a staircase that goes up or down.
So it reveals a staircase. It reveals a stone staircase that climbs 10 feet to a landing.
And then to all 4 of you, he would whisper again, perhaps this is the place Durst spoke of.
Seeing what you've cleared, and maybe seeing how easily you're breaking away as you said, the shaly bits. I'll come up and just lightly tapping with my warhammer that's in hand, just kind of largen the hole a bit.
And so at the top of this landing, you see a ladder that seems to go up.
This house has many dark places. A place which even light itself struggles to reach.
Do you walk into this set of stairs, or?
Fella's gonna hang back for just a second. I'm kind of looking at the rune carved bone that she found the other day. And for some reason, she's looking at a particular like sequence of runes on the bone. And as she kind of runs her fingers over it, there's this sort of puff of almost like these little black energy motes that surround her. And for a moment, she's a little startled. She has no idea what this is. But then they fade after they surround her briefly for a moment, and she is effectively casting mage armor on herself. And then she will follow the group up, just kind of wondering what the fuck that was as she tucks the bone back into her belt.
So you guys come up to this landing, and you see that it ends with a 6 foot high ceiling, and above you on the ceiling there is it looks seeming to be a door on the ceiling that this ladder leads up to.
Were you going up there first, Everchild? Yeah.
And he'll just like
I
nod.
could see Oscar would actually be the one that'd probably just go in there and go, I opened the door.
You do see that there is a lock.
I can't open the door, or
Father said many things of man who keeps locked doors.
So I think Corla would then go up the ladder a little bit. You said there was a ladder there, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. She would go up the ladder a little bit until she could see the lock.
And Everchild will give you a small blessing as he casts guidance upon you and kind of refreshes that D4 that you have in your next skill check.
And I am going to use my thieves tools and pick this lock.
All right. Make a thieves tool roll.
Is it just straight?
Thieves' tools are usually dexterity plus proficiency bonus if you're using Thieves' tools.
Okay.
Don't forget that D4.
Well, I rolled an 18 on my die. I could. So this is pretty awesome. So 20. Math is hard. 27.
Yes, you're able to. You are so happy that you have all your tools back. You are just able to unlock this like it was nothing. And if you were to open it and peek out, you find that you are back in the main house.
Interesting. Yeah, I think probably having Oscar just have an open. I would peek up. Whereabouts in the main house? Like, are we down on the main entranceway, or?
So you find your. So I can't pull up the map because I didn't have it open because I didn't expect this to happen because I'm horrible. I'm a horrible DM.
No, because we did more than one room.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, that's very uncharacteristic of
The
us.
real killer of this is we went 1, 2, 3 rooms we've explored at this session. That's
So you see a dark room that has some chairs in it, some tables, and it has what looks to be stuffed wolves standing on the floor. A stag's head is mounted above an unlit fireplace. Fine chairs are draped in furs, and they face the hearth with a cask of wine and a pipe rack on the table between them. The goblets dry and empty, candelabrum gleaming in your lamp, in whatever light that Everchild has gleamed. Everything is covered, or some of the furniture is also covered in cloth.
So I would be relaying this back to all of them, kind of softly whispering it, and waiting to see if they recognize what I'm describing. I don't remember this room, so
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
Do you see any doors or any windows or anything leading out of the room?
You do see
let me
one.
check.
You do see one door to the northwest of you.
Well, I thought we went everywhere on the main level of the house, but apparently not, because that room does not sound familiar at all. Do we want to try and see where that door leads? Or do we want to stay down in the horrible basement?
Everchild, between Elizabeth Durst and that orb, we've dealt with a couple desecrations within this house, but the whispering continued. Now, this seems to me, based on the fact that this stairway is accessible through a trap door in the main house, seems to be leading down into what is some sort of, I don't know if it's sacrificial or what was going on here based on those skeletons. I'm not entirely sure that we've dealt with everything in this house.
As I said before,
In particular, everything in this basement.
as I had said before, this place has many dark places. Perhaps this one we leave to our backs. Perhaps we seek its solace. I fear for what may lie in that fourth branching, snaking pathway that is still obscured by such darkness. The one that has the strange black rectangle placed upon it on the overlook.
Okay, Mike, breaking the fourth wall.
In your own words, Eli, it is good to not have things that may hunt us behind us.
Just
But no
making
matter which way
sure.
we go here,
I was just making sure I wasn't the only one that felt this way. So while this does look enticing to head back up into the house, I think we have other things to deal with down here.
But if we leave this, then it will be at our back.
not
That's a
that
fair
it-
point, actually.
Not if it is locked.
Basically, you'd have to read. Oh, actually, I didn't hear that unless Everchild was broadcasting that to everybody.
I think like for now, like he'll just broadcast to everyone what he says unless I say otherwise, just for
Gotcha.
clarity's sake.
So basically, what he's saying is you'd relock the padlock.
What if we, instead of relocking, we just jam something kind of through, so it is easy for us to open from here?
Perhaps we remove the ladder. I do not know if it is bolted on its top or its base.
You see that it is
Yeah,
not.
makes it.
It is
Yeah.
not bolted. It is just kind of leaning.
It
Makeshift.
is just leaning here, but I would not be moving it while I am still on it. I would not like that.
Well, then why don't you close that door
said, why don't you get off the ladder?
Get off the ladder. We'll move it aside, and we'll check out the rest of what's down in this basement area. But it's good to know that other than the way we came down here, which was from the topmost level, we do have an exit that goes into what appears to be the main level of the house.
Carla, can you see about how, I guess it'd be how long is this room in feet, roughly, would you say?
It's about 15 by 20 feet.
Would you mind, before we move the ladder, I want to try something really quick. I need to get up on the ladder, though.
Just one moment, I will come down then.
Okay. So Fel will wait, and then once Corla's off the ladder, she's going to climb onto the ladder. She peeks around. Has anything changed from what Corla described? Stuffed wolf, stuffed stag head, cool.
Nope.
So she's going to look at the doorknob. She's like, okay, all right. So I think, if I remember, I read it in a book once. And she kind of stretches out her hand, and as she does, this spectral teal-colored hand emerges from her own as she casts Mage Hand, and she is going to send it across the room. And she's like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so fucking incredible. And she's going to grab the doorknob, and she's going to try to twist the doorknob on the door on the opposite side of the wall. I think it was the northwest wall that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, you're able to open up the door, and it opens up fairly easily. And I would say that seeing a bit beyond it, you can just make out what looked to be that main foyer area where the stairs were.
Huh. So, and the door wasn't locked, correct? It was just open to the mage hand? Okay. So she'll have the mage hand close the door, and she'll kind of have it like pat the doorknob, and then it'll dissipate, and she'll climb back down the ladder, and she'll say, so the door in that room leads back to the foyer of the house, the main room that we came into. I don't know if we just overlooked this room the first time we came here, but that's where it leads. So I guess if we want to go ahead and jam this trap door or move the ladder, we can go ahead and do that now. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing on the other side of that door.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. You can do so, and you're able to take off the ladder fairly easily and kind of set it maybe along the stairs if you would want, or you could even take it into the main into that room with the statue. Whatever you guys prefer.
I'd say let's leave it in here kind of tipped up on its side along the stairs. We don't want to take it too far away from
Yeah, we can like just
the point
tip
of
it up on
exit.
the side, lean it against the wall. It's in this little corridor, so even if like it's
Yeah.
juts out a bit over the stairs, that's fine. Just up here close.
Okay.
All right.
Let's
So
descend.
that done, I think we're gonna head up towards those northern passageways and see what else is left to be discovered in this foul basement dwelling.
So you come to kind of a cross intersection where you can go. I'm just looking not from your character's perspective, but from the map's perspective. You can go north, south, east, or west. On the west side, that was where the stairs were, and right near that was where the hole was.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we want to go to the north at this intersection here.
Yep. And Everchild will take the lead, or at least behind Eli, if Eli's willing to take the lead, as he shines his light, as he always does.
Yeah, I think I'm perfectly fine taking the lead.
What better way to find pitfall traps?
Exactly.
So you go into this room, and once you see that there are these tables set up. You see that there is a bone body. Oh, yes, that is correct. Thank you. You see that there are bone bodies lined along this table. This room is a stark contrast to the other rooms that were very dusty and moldy and very hastily built almost. This room almost looks like it was at one time a very, very grand and expensive dining room. It seems to match the decor of the house above you. And Fel, as you walk in, this is the same room from your dream, and you see the skeleton laying across the table. And that is where we're going to end today's session.
You got me with that one this week. There were about 4 different points during the game tonight where I was certain you were going to say, and that's where we're going to end.
There we go.
Oh boy. I don't know what to do. We went through what? We found like 4 new rooms tonight?
Yeah.
So to make up for it, the next 4 sessions have to be in the same room.
Just need to sit around and talk about our feelings for an entire session or 2.
I think that's making up for the fact that we're probably not going to have a session for a little while.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a good point.
Yes. So, we will not be having our next session. Also, first off, thank you everyone for watching, and thank you to the players. That was some really, really awesome role playing. That was really, really cool. I really enjoyed that. And I'm really loving this campaign. So thank you everyone thank you guys for playing in it and making it awesome.
Yeah, the Death House is a really cool campaign.
I was going to say, I mean, it's been great, guys. I'm so sad the campaign's over, but we'll see each other again. AbTab is a great Facebook group to be a part of, everybody. It's how we met all these people.
Yeah. Yes, screw that Curse of Strahd stuff. This is just Death House, the campaign.
Yeah, Death House, the campaign.
The campaign that is actually Death House.
Yeah.
Which is actually a mansion which is haunted.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, I had neglected to show you guys
The room?
the room.
So
there we go.
Connor's like, move up the overlay. I'm like, that's weird. This room looks exactly the same as the other rooms we were just in. Something's wrong.
But yes, also, so we will not be playing again until we will be taking a hiatus. And we will be playing again on the 28th of May. So almost a month. We'll miss you all.
So sad.
But part of the reason for that is because you can find myself and Megan over on twitch.tv/mini-terrain domain, because the week we would be playing this is the Jasper's Game Week stream, and Megan's actually playing in one of the charity games that Tuesday night.
Oh, nice.
Yes, that is an awesome thing that's going on. All proceeds are, well, I mean, Jake can say it probably better than I can. I'll probably mess up.
It's a week-long charity stream with 5 days, 40 hours, 3 games each day, 1 flagship game each day. All funds that are raised that week go through Jasper's Game Day to benefit local crisis centers for suicide prevention. We've got games that are going to be played or run by people such as WebDM Jim and Pruitt from the WebDM channel,
Nice.
B. Dave Walters and the Uncommon Trust crew. We've got James Intricasso. We've got James Hake. We've got Lisa Chen, who works with Wizards of the Coast and I believe she's somewhere high up in the hierarchy for D&D Adventurers League. God, God, there's so many people. I don't have the list in front of me right now. Gil Ramirez, from Critical Role fame of the Don't F Me Gil, the forged D20s, will be playing in a game. Plus, as I said, myself and Megan. Megan, I believe, is playing in a game run by Jeremy Lilly of Erasmus Expeditions. I'll be running a game. And we've got tons of great sponsors: Wizards of the Coast, Dogmite Games, Wormwood Gaming, Miniature Market, Axe and Shield, D&D Adventures League. We're going to be giving away tons of raffles, and there will be, or excuse me, tons of giveaways, and there will be some auctions for some other high ticket items as well, with all of that money going towards Jasper's Game Day and the crisis centers.
Yeah, so it's a really, really great cause. So that's where you will find a lot of people on the 14th, and that's why we will not be playing. But please go check that out. All the links will be in the description below. And thank you so much for watching in the past, in the present, in the future. And thank you guys for playing, and we will see you next time.